Hey everybody, Michigan here, welcome back to the channel, and I'm doing a full advanced breakdown by popular request. I've had several people come to me saying, hey, can you just break down the whole advance? I have not wanted to do that because that's a lot of talking for me to do. It's almost an hour of recording. So I want to make sure that things stay interesting and that I don't lose my voice. But here we go, we're going to make an attempt at it. So I'm going to speed up parts of this video when things get kind of dull. And that way this isn't another 45-minute video. I'll leave those for people who like to just watch the whole thing. So we're playing the OPIC clan. We have mostly class players, obviously, but we have some legionnaires. We have Dust from Class X. We have Cetus from Havoc. We have Billiu from Class X. And we have Ralphie from Class X. And then we have everybody, you can see everybody there from Class. They don't get a shout out because they're playing advances anyway, I guess. So, we're playing on Himmels. We're going to run our standard call, 907 out to the right. We're going to send most of our tanks up to the hill. Everything else will come A7, A8. And I'm going to make a critical mistake in this battle, and obviously I'll go over it. So, I know the enemies aren't pushing hill. We can see them all over here. Now, the first big mistake I'm going to make is that I'm not pressuring their cap. What I'm going to do is just try and farm. Now, that's great to farm up here in the short term. Long term, the enemies aren't going to be farmable forever. And then what are you going to do? Also, I was way too high up there. I think the 60 TP went right through my hull or the top of my turret. He went right through the top of my turret with heat. You can see that's the risks of backing up the slope with a chieftain. And now you can see the enemies are pressuring the cap circle. So I'm calling tanks to head back to cap. Now I'm too late. What we normally do is that we'll echelon on the corner here, which a bunch of tanks did, and then once the enemies push in, we'll come in the backside, and we'll just sweep into A5. But that's not going to work. So I'm going to speed it up real quick. And this first mistake, you will see pop up in a second. So we're actually even on hit points. You can see all the chieftains hanging out over here at Bravo 0. Hanging out. Now, here's my big mistake, which was the first mistake made out of 2. So the enemies have occupied. You see where that version 4 is? If you look on the mini-map where my mouse is. That version 4 is occupying a spot that is not resettable. I used the RD strike, and I dropped it on those IS-7s to try and take some pressure off the East. Keep the mini fairly large. But unfortunately, I've neglected to take that out. And now, for some reason, a bunch of chieftains have pushed down, which was mistake number 2. What I wanted to do was get all the chieftains grouped up to push this low side. It's very difficult to push in here unless it's coordinated. So we're going to speed this battle up. And unfortunately, I'm still up on the hill. I should have just gone down. The enemies are going to have 3 on cap here. And we're going to try and push through. So what I'm looking to do here is see if we can't break through this and get some side shots. But when you're down 9,000 health, it just isn't going to happen. 10 seconds left on that cap. We'll slow it down a little bit. Oh, it looks like somebody got a reset. But in this scenario, we didn't move fast enough. Normally, I put cap pressure on 2. I did not call for cap pressure. I just took too long, and people just started doing their own thing, presumably because we were just getting desperate as a team. So that's the first game. Horrible loss. Now we're on defense. So I'll see you in that video. All right, welcome back. Now we are on defense on Live Oaks. Now a couple of things about this map before we get going. This map is very difficult to defend on unless you're able to grab the positions that you want early. So what I'm calling here is my standard Lakeville sort of camp, but with the ability to push out. We're going to put some TDs in the back at A0 to help slow enemies down who are coming up the A line, and then we're going to throw everything else at the island here. We're going to make sure to take this corner. If you're looking where my mouse is, right where the little green dot is, you can see I just clicked there. That way the enemies can't wrap around. And as we get over here, we have brought mostly chieftains. Ralphie doesn't have a chieftain, not yet. He will soon. And so he brought an S-Conk, which is fine because the S-Conk can play in the back. Now the enemies are pushing out down the 1-2. And actually, I ran this strat because I've lost a bunch of times. And now I'm asking everybody to push the chief. Now, as we pause it, I know they're pushing tanks over here. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. We have 4 tanks back at base. Therefore, we have a overmatch by at least 1. Now, they also have an EBR. So that means we have an overmatch by 2. So I'm going to try and take it. And we're actually going to take a very long time to kill this 2-7, this chieftain here. And unfortunately, what I should have called out is told these tanks to come back over this way and then push. Because as they're poking, they're getting bled by all of the tanks on this corner. So I'm going to call them to keep pushing. And this is my second mistake. Is that instead of pushing and taking the overmatch, I should have recognized we're on defense. If they want to overmatch, or if they want to push, we'll overmatch them then. Rather than trying to charge this open field and really getting ourselves away from the cap circle. I have to remember that these tanks here, if they come to our cap circle, that's it. We're going to be in trouble. So let's speed it up again. And unfortunately, on defense, you can't stray too far away because it's so easy to get out capped when you get out of position. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and work, but the enemies have dug themselves into a hole. And they have a leopard. And that leopard is sitting right in there at about E3. And anybody who tries to poke over the top is going to get shot. And we can't spot him because the EBR is a one-shot and he can't roll underneath because there's 2 VTs and the leopard. So here I'm just going to call a full push. And I was a little upset at the time because I called the push about 30 seconds ago and a majority of our tanks did not end up pushing in. So I felt this was our one chance to win after the screw-up. So I was a little bit frustrated at the team there. So we'll slow it back down. Not too much to see here. You can see we're just completely getting overwhelmed at cap. We got 2 TDs trying their absolute best. The EBR was trying to help them as well, and it's just not happening. Now, you could say, well, we're only down 4-6, and we're down, 4,800, but it's not necessarily what's at the top of the screen. It's what's on that mini-map. We are outmatched in both areas. The TDs, we have an S-Gonk. Well, he's supporting the TDs. His hit points are getting involved. So the entirety of the enemy's fire is going towards 1. So it's only a matter of time before Ralphie's on his own. And you have to remember, this whole advance was during war games. So we're desperately just trying to get wins here. And with that, it's 7-14. And with just the S-Conk left, Ralphie's going to do his best. EBR's coming behind him. Ralphie's doing a nice job of just focusing out the VD. Now finds an IS-7. The EBR rams him and it finishes him off. So that is going to be loss number 2. Major mistake by me. Should have called tanks to rotate back and then push in, or just not have them push it at all. The other option would have been for us to push back and push the city, or just wait. You can flex back and forth quite easily in this area without getting shot. So, second major mistake by me. Alright, next battle. We are on defense again. Alright, we're back, and we are on defense again. This is our second line of defense. The other team, OPIC, has taken our first line of defense, so we are now on our heels for the 3rd game in a row. Obviously, momentum is working against us, and that will affect a team. A team will play worse a lot of the time when we're losing, because people start to get desperate. So here we're going to do a very normal call. Unfortunately, we have a Patton. Dust from Class X does not have a full loadout of meta tanks, so we're going to use a Patton instead of a 140. Still not a bad choice. So I'm going to run our standard call here. And this was mistake number 1 for this battle. Is me running the normal call. And I'm going to use this time of us going up the hill to explain that. When you lose 2 games in a row against a team, handedly, you really got to shake things up. And I refuse to do that here. I decided to stick with what I know works in general. However, this is not a normal scenario. If we lose this battle, we're at our Citadel. So I really should have just tried something else. I have other calls for this map, but instead I decided to force it and push 12 tanks to the hill. And I felt with 12 tanks, we could get an overmatch. So let's start speeding it up. As we go up, we have the Patton over there. We have 2 EBRs, everybody else to the hill. Now, there's one interesting thing with this hill as I zoom out. With that windmill, you have to take the right side of the windmill, otherwise the enemies will swing around and shoot you in the side. You cannot back off the hill. It's do or die up there. Now we have a lot of chieftains, so does the enemy team, but they also have a lot of mediums. So we should, theoretically, have the overmatch. And I'm going to kind of go over things as this battle gets over. So you can see, I'm dropping the arty strike right there by the windmill. And what that's going to do is the enemies are going to have to sit in it, or they're going to have to push through it. Or they back off. And if they back off, it gives us the windmill. However, they have their strike as well. And I'm sure in a moment, we'll see that come out. So right now we have them kind of on their back foot there. Not sure what I'm hitting, but in a second their strike is going to be right on top of it. So now here's risk number 2. Is if you drop the enemy strike before they do, and then they drop it, yours is going to expire first, which means they can push up while there's still a strike here. So sometimes it's a game of chicken. Now, you could push through the strike. I feel like they could have dropped it more forward. However, if you push up too far, then they're going to farm you. So it's a very delicate balance, and the arty strike is huge. So our team, I called for us to push up through the strike because I know ours is about to expire, and I don't want to give them that. So right now we're up hit points, though we're trading quite a bit, and we have a lot of tanks clustered around one windmill. So I'm going to call for a push. And the reason for that is I've swatted a CS low. I assume there's another CS. We've already killed a VZ. The 50B and the Kron are auto-loading tanks, so if they aren't effective early, then we'll just focus them out. The 50B has no armor, so that should be an easy kill. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2 there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So we have 3 extra tanks. Now, remember, there is a CS down there. But the CS can't climb up here. He's going to have to come all the way around. So we're going to just try and push through and clear this all the way out. So I'm going to push in, and I shouldn't have gone in first because I have the Inspire up. And that's going to increase everybody's skills by 30%. So that's mistake number 1. Now, the enemies are focusing fire really well here. I'm just going to zoom out. We're going to talk about some of our focus fire struggles. So let's take a look at what some of the tanks are doing here. Jafter and Hattrick are pushing through. That's fairly standard. What that does is it gets all the guns turning. You can see his gun's turned. This guy is driving the wrong direction. His gun's turned. His gun's turned. The other 2 aren't. However, that's a one-shot 279. The Kronwagen's low health, and the 279 is starting to get damaged. But here's where our focus fire starts to break down. We also had a Chief did not come in. We had a 277 who's over there fighting the 50B. Now, I'm not ragging on these guys because they're both great players, but it's part of the confusion with a push. So instead of having 12 tanks in, now we've got 10. And I'm dead, and so is Billy Lou, who took the first hits. So, for the 1VZ, now they've cut it to even. And they're on the defensive here. They're still backing up. They have most of our tanks in front of them. So we're going to finish off the 279. However, we neglected to clear out the other 279. And the one thing you cannot do when you're pushing through is allow enemy tanks to do the same. If you flip-flop back and forth, it's going to be much more difficult. You have to focus that first tank out and not advance until he's gone. So now we're going to have to turn our guns to deal with a 279, and this guy is going to be a huge pain later on. Now you can see we're shooting multiple tanks here. Our shot went out on the CS, the 279, and there goes the Kronwagen. And now we've got somebody shooting the 279, and now you can see everybody's just shooting different tanks. People are shooting whatever's closest to them. And as soon as that starts, it's pretty much game over there. You can see now the 279 in the back is tangled up with our 277. Look, Cetus gets a good shot there before the 50B jumps off, but we're down at 5.5 health. Now, also, our Patton's dead, and our EBR is being hunted by a Leo. We have an EBR on cap, but that's not going to do very much. So, we're going to speed this up. And unfortunately, at this point, the situation is bleak. We know we're probably going to have to defend again. So we're looking for the 279. 279 is going to finish off our 277. And just like that, we have 2 EBRs left with a CS back. And not sure why the replay ended there, but the game was lost, obviously. All right, let's move on to the Citadel battle of our advance. All right. So we're at our Citadel here. Now this is a very controversial topic and battle here. Look at the enemy's lineup. They've opted to bring 5 light tanks. Obviously, it's a troll lineup, and you know they're almost looking to lose. I spoke to the caller afterward, and his reasoning was, well, it's war games, we want to get more advances. I personally completely disagree with that statement. I think that games should just be won. I don't believe in trolling another team and forcing more battles. But we can't enforce rules that other clans have, so we're just going to roll with it and try and take advantage of the fact. More War Games points for us if they're going to do that. So we're going to send everybody to the hill except for 2 of our chieftains and our 2 mediums. And the reason for that is I don't want those light tanks capping us out somehow. When they have a lineup like that, that should pretty much be a guaranteed win for us. So we're going to send everything to the hill. And here comes the Sheridan. And just like we thought, they are pretty much throwing the battle, or as close to throwing it as you can without Wargaming being able to report it. So we're going to just force our way up this hill. Unfortunately, we're a little bit slow. Some of our team is slow to get up there. So I think I'm just going to get this Inspire and Arty off. There's the Inspire, there's the Arty, and then I'm going to get mauled by all the lights. Luckily, our mediums are farming their heavies over there. Our chieftains are going to push through. We're up 8,000 health. I'm going to just speed this up times 2 because this is a long video and I'd like to keep it short. Again, we were overmatched on the hill a little bit, I believe. However, when they're bringing a bunch of light tanks like that, you're able to clear them out pretty quickly, especially in mana creep. So we're still up 8,000, rolling between about 6 and 8k up. I'm going to ask everybody to just push in because at this point we know we're going to win this battle. And let's slow it back down. It was, I believe, 10:28 at this time, Eastern Standard Time. And what you have to know about advances is that at the 43 mark on the hour, and I'm going to pause this before this 113 dies, is that at the 43 mark, unless you are in the garage waiting for another battle to start, where you have the little countdown timer at the top, you will not play another battle. If a battle ends on the 43 mark, the victory screen is up, then there are no more battles in that advance. The battle has to end before 43 on the hour. So it could be 9:43, 8:43, 11:43, whatever. So we know that we need 2 more games in this advance. And it's 10:28. That means 43, that's 15 minutes. So we can't have many draws here. And we also have the 2.5 minute waiting period. So I'm asking everybody, just go in, let's just get him killed. Now Wasabi is going to let Dust push in first. I believe Dust actually called that. Dust is going to take the hit from 113. 113 has a fairly fast reload, and we're going to finish that tank off. So, we've managed to win this battle, mainly because the enemy took a, in my opinion, ridiculous lineup that I very much disagree with, but I can understand their reasoning for it. Oh, little bird there in the corner. But, let's move on to the next battle. Alright. So, I'm going to not slow this battle down as much. We are on the attack, and this is a strat that you probably haven't seen before posted. So I'm going to take a little bit more time to explain it and really do a full battle breakdown, rather than just blasting through us getting hammered 3 times in a row and then managing to win it. So, let's just say that during this battle, spirits were a little high, and I'm going to pause this real quick, because the enemy had given us a chance. Obviously, we are still fighting off of our citadel. We have to win 2 straight games against a team that only didn't beat us because they took 5 light tanks. So, but at least there's hope. And as I said in the last time we were on this map, is that a team that's losing is going to play worse. And you definitely saw that battle with the poor focus fire on the hill. However, they gave us some hope, so spirits are a little bit better. And we know we have the time to do it. So, I'm going to make an adjustment here. This is where I figure it out more as a caller. And I'm going to try something different. I'm not going to force it on the hill again. However, if you notice, I took the exact same lineup that I took the last time we were on this map. And this is something I enjoy doing. And I hope there's no callers who play against us often who watch these videos. But I guess you'll never know who's actually calling. And that is we take the same lineup to make the enemy think we're running it back. Or the phrase means doing the same strat again. But instead, we do a different strat. And you could say, well, maybe if you're doing a different strat, why take the same lineups as the wrong strat? And that's just to confuse the other team. Obviously, there are other tanks I could be taking, but if the enemy believes we're doing a different strat, then they might change theirs. They beat us handedly last time we took this lineup, so odds are they're going to try and do it again. So let's keep going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a feint to the hill, and I'm going to push the cap circle. It's a interesting strategy because a lot rides on the fact that you're getting back into this force at Bravo 2 and Alpha 2. The whole idea here is to get tanks on the cap circle and screen through the woods. Now this is an incredibly dense woods. And if we make it there, you'll see later. Obviously, I think you can come up with that. Initially, there's going to be a miscommunication. I have too many tanks pushing over that side. Now, I've also put... Let's just pause it here. I'm putting 2 tanks over... I don't need to. I'm putting 2 tanks over at Foxtrot 7. And that is so that they can push under the water and better secure this. Now, enemies love to hide behind this little hill. If you look where my minimap is, or my mouse is on the minimap, right above where that leopard is. And the reason for that is because they're hull down and they can shoot the cap circle. Most of the time, that's when they come off the hill. Now, these 2 tanks can help counter that. They can also shoot up the hill and shoot down. These tanks here, who are with me, I asked them, do not shoot the EBR. Now, if that EBR takes a bunch of hits or he sees shells coming around him, he's going to know that something's up. And the enemy might come down early. Now, if they get into Charlie 1 with a force, you can see on the minimap there's a little bit of a ridge. And if they get there, it's incredibly difficult, especially if they don't bother taking the hill. We need their team to commit hard. So let's minimize it. And there's the EBR. Now, he is going to light us, but Ogre Wasabi is going to be the MVP of this game. Ogre, throughout this entire push, with all of these heavies here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heavies, is not going to give that EBR any opportunity to spot the heavies. And that is so very important. Ogre Wasabi is still going, he's kicking the EBR all the way out, playing super aggressive, taking hits from all sorts of areas, and he's going to finish that tank off. Actually, your own teammate shot him. Now that means that we're over here in heavies, and the enemy still hasn't seen us. And that's huge because if they don't see us, they're not going to react. They're probably wondering why Wasabi was being so aggressive. And multiple people shouted them out last game. There's the leopard. Wasabi's going to get on cap, and you can see these tanks are pushing up. Now, a little bit of a misplay over here. I asked these 3 chieftains to hang out at the rock. And the reason for that is if they push down, the enemies push down, they're going to suck them in as far away from the cap circle as possible. You can't get too much farther than that, realistically. Now, if they push up, the enemies can just push down and around and come straight to here. They can't do that if these 3 chieftains are behind that rock. However, Wasabi is still unlit. Now, at this point, I've called these 2 chieftains to push low. That leopard's going to become a pain, and we're going to have to deal with him. So, now we're lit by that 50B. However, the other team has most of their tanks past A7, and that's just a 50B. So what I'm going to call is for 3 tanks to hop on that cap circle. Everybody else is going to push this 50B. I'm going to just spearhead it. I'm going to angle a little bit against this 50B. I'm not going to get too much. The chieftain doesn't have great hull armor. And I'm only going to take 1 hit from that 50B, but I'm also going to take 1 from an S-Con. Now, here's the pivot point of this game, is that these 4 tanks who have pushed through cannot let off the gas. We need to put the biggest distance between our tanks on the cap and us. Because if we sit here and we just shoot, they're going to get continuous resets. As long as we have 3 tanks on cap, 30 seconds, the other team's going to be in a panic state. And that's what we need. That's why you need to put 3 tanks on cap if you're going to cap out. 2 is only acceptable sometimes, and that's only in certain scenarios, which are kind of determined by, whatever the situation is in that battle. So by putting the biggest distance, we're able to spot the tanks earlier, and we can shoot them earlier, more importantly. So now you can see the other team coming back, and now you might say, that's a lot of tanks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against 4, maybe 2, and we're split up. However, the Patton has crossfire. The chieftains actually did go up the hill now, and they're going to go up after that 1 shot. So I was using that EBR for a second, and I'm going to drop the arty there, and you can see I dropped it right behind the hill. Now I'm going to start to fire, because I don't want to get so close that we're going to get completely lit, but we do want to make sure that the enemies push down here. They're going to light us before they light the cap. Now the leopard's going to get a reset, but I'm going to finish that leopard off, so that's 1. Now you can see the focus is always which tank is closest to the cap circle. So now it's the VZ. So I'm going to call everybody, let's shoot the VZ. These tanks up here are not an issue. Remember, we got 20 seconds left on the cap. Going for the drive wheel shot there, I don't want that VZ to be able to move. And what that does, I believe everybody should always go for drive wheel shots unless it's a for sure kill. What that does is it keeps the enemy in place, forces them to burn their repair kit, so any other modules that are damaged after that won't be able to be healed, especially things like MRX. So here comes another VZ. Now again, 18 seconds. So that VZ now has to push straight in because they need lights for their cap. They don't have an EBR. Ogre booted him, kicked him away from the cap. So the enemies were completely caught by surprise. Now the chieftains up top have now gotten themselves into a pickle. And we did lose a tank on cap, so now we only have 2. I believe I'm going to have an EBR head over to cap circle. I don't remember. Because at this point, we have all of our chieftains. We're kind of hold down. We've still got these two chieftains behind the ridge, and we have a patent shooting them in the side. So let's start by just speeding this game up. And our tanks on the hill are still tangled up with 2 other vehicles there. 279s just making a rush for it. We're up 14,000 health here, so that's pretty much it for them. And there's a nice ammo rack there on a 279. His ammo rack was already damaged. You can tell by my eagle eye there. That is a nice perk to have, but it's a luxury perk. And there we go. We're going to cap the other team out. Alright, let's go into the next battle. Alright, final battle here. It is about 10:40 when we clicked in here. And this advance is for the draw. If we lose it, the other team wins. If we win it, we can pull it back to a draw. So I'm going to make a adjusted call here, in which I'm going to have us push the 0 line. Now this is where we went before. What I've done in the past here, and actually what I called initially, was for 2 CSs to head to A1, everybody else come into Charlie 2, and we were going to put a V4 because that was the best vehicle that Dust had into B2 with a 277 and kind of help them out. However, in the past, I've had problems with this call, and the reason I have problems with it is if the enemy push A0 and we don't get an overmatch in the city, the strat doesn't work, and that's because we rely on us clearing out the city with overwhelming numbers to then gain an advantage and then re-push other sides of the map, or just gain a hit point advantage so that we can trade some hit points for map position. But here I've noticed the other team is bringing lots of gun depression tanks, however they're still bringing some non-gun depression, but with 3 S-Conks and Chieftains, I have to believe that they're going to be coming A0. So what I'm going to do is focus all of my attention into clearing that out. I am going to use the Sturv, though, like they did the Leopard, and I'm going to use it to clear out the bridge, especially if other tanks do that. So let's get this sped up while we get into position here. Unfortunately, I'm going to kind of cut Jafter off there. I'm not really known for my good driving, so sorry again. Probably not the first time I'm going to run into somebody. So the other team is now bringing tanks to the city. So I asked our 277 and our V4 to just hang out over there. And you're going to see a little bit more of them later. Now we're going to secure the edge here. Now, again, it's crucial that we get the edge on this, because then we can trap them. You can see a ridge line here and a ridge line there. That's a right angle, so the tanks from this ridge can shoot on the backside and vice versa. So let's keep it sped up here. Now I ask 3 tanks to hang back, and the reason for that is I don't know if those chieftains are going to push over, and if they do, it's going to be a lot harder for them to clear this out, and these tanks over here can crossfire into the pole. Now we're going to kind of let this play out here. Now we're going to make some mistakes, and I'm going to, some of these tanks here, we're going to overexpose a little bit. Now this is a rough ridge to play, so I'm going to use the Arty Strike to boot them off, and again we dropped Arty about the same time. Let me unfold it, so that's going to give us some early advantage. However, we still have to be careful, because those enemy tanks can still shoot. Unfortunately, no idea where my shell went on that one, and they also have tanks on the back ridge, and that is a great counter for our chieftains over there on the right side of our screen. So right off the bat, we're down 5,500, or just 5,000 health. Now I'm going to ask these other tanks to come up, and in a second, I'm going to call for us to push. Now, we're not trading well, so the best way to do that is we're going to get in and we're going to just try and out-focus fire them. So looking for more shots, and there is our push. We're going to do a great job there, killing that one chieftain. Nice job there. Next chieftain. Good. We finished that guy off. Now I'm going to refocus. The closest tank I can see is that 1277. Now, note my use of focus fire, or of auto aim here. Auto aim, I constantly discourage people from using it. However, in a situation like this, especially where I'm calling, me zooming in and really aiming my shots, when I know I'm probably going to pen with the side of the chieftain, isn't really worth my time. What I need to be doing is making sure I'm calling out targets, redirecting vehicles. And when you're getting on the side of chieftains, which is often in focus fire, you can see I've auto-aimed my last 3 shots from third person. Most of the time you are going to get it. So here I'm going to zoom in because that's a risky shot and it's at the front of a chieftain. However, I'm going to get finished off. We've cut the deficit to 2,600, now 3,000, 3,000 again, 2,600, 3,000. So it's a constant battle, however, it's one that we're losing. Now, our 3 tanks over on the other side have gotten themselves into a strange scenario, which is they're in a 3 versus 5. However, they're not getting pushed. And here, I'm going to make a comment here, which is we have tanks. You can see Bendo over there going, and again, it's not, I am being critical, but it's not personal, obviously. Is that Bendo is going for an 877. He's correct in that focus fire. However, what I've called for is to take out this one chieftain, 1133, and why is that? Well, we have a chieftain over here, obviously, this 877, who's on a ridgeline. We have this other chieftain who's on a separate ridgeline, and we have this S-Conk who's on a third ridgeline, and everybody else is pinned in the middle. So the best way to take care of that issue is to focus one, everybody push over, clear out that one tank, and then turn around on the ridgeline and shoot back over. If you split up and end up in 1v1s, it's a lot riskier. So Wibby's going to get killed here. That S-Conk had focused him out. And now we're going to swap over to this side. So we cleared out that chieftain, and now it's just this chieftain left. They're still not getting pushed, which is odd. But we are still down to 3,300, and at this point, I'm concerned about the E-line, which is, I don't know why they haven't been pushed. And if they beat us 3 times, they definitely have a chance to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask these 2 chieftains to not go kill that one. I'm going to trust that YTF in the EBR and Bendo in the chieftain here, who is a 2-shot, can finish off this chieftain. And the way they can do that is coordinate. The EBR baits shots, or if he fires, they communicate. If the chieftain's looking one way, then the other tank can swoop in from behind where his gun isn't facing and hit him. 2v1s is all you really need. Airman's going to go over to shoot him. I'm going to request that he doesn't. So that chieftain's going to look for Bendo. YTF sets that chieftain on fire. Bendo bounces, unfortunately, and he's going to take a hit. Here comes Hairman and SC, and what I'm going to ask them to do is to come underneath and start dealing with that AMX. Unfortunately, that's going to be a miscall. And at this point, we've actually taken the lead. We have 185 health up, and we're up 2 tanks. However, things are going to get very interesting very quickly. And I'm going to make a huge, ignore that ball of fire, misplay. Ralphie, in his credit, followed it, but it was just a terrible, I don't even know why I thought this. I asked for Ralphie to come back into the dip, which was probably the dumbest thing I could have asked him to do, because he's got 2 tanks on him. So, no idea why I called that. So, of course, he turns around and immediately gets killed. Now, maybe he could have reversed or something, but it was a bad, bad call by me, and not Ralphie's fault in the slightest. Even if he had reversed, he would have been shot in the side from these tanks. Just a really, really dumb decision. So, he's trying his best there. Billy Lou actually tries to block the 277. And unfortunately, here comes Wasabi against the EBR. Unfortunately, he's fighting pretty much a full health EBR. And just like that, we are down a shot at down 496. We are on the cap. And I'm going to ask Wasabi, so at this point, we're not going to be playing, we have to get on the cap. We're not going to be playing back over here. They're going to run the version 4 over. So we're down 2,000 health. We have to get a cap off. So I'm going to make a flurry of calls, each contradicting the previous one. I'm going to ask the chieftains to get on cap, and the EBRs to screen. Now, if you note here, I'm actually going to change it. This is the scenario I was talking about, which is 2 tanks on cap. Why is that? So let's talk about this scenario that we're currently in. We have a bunch of fast heavies over here. We're down 4,500 health. We have 2 EBR screening, and we have 2 EBRs, and we have 3 chieftains. Now, if we put 3 chieftains on cap, the cap is going to go quicker. However, what we're not going to be able to do is slow down this other side. And that's a 260, and that EBR can come underneath. We need both EBRs to counter their EBR. Wasabi is on 900 health, and YTF is on just under 600. However, if one of them loses the 1v1, that EBR is going to get free reign, and he's going to reset, and we're never going to be able to spawn him. So that EBR has to die. So there's 2 of our EBRs gone, committed on one of theirs. So how are we going to stop the heavies from coming underneath? instead of putting 3 chieftains on, we're going to take the almost full health chieftains. We're going to stick them on this ridge so that he can hit anything coming back. And worst case, he can block them. I'm confident that with 2 tanks on, that's a 45-second cap that we can stop it. So let's see if that works out for us, or if we're going to fall in this battle. So Bendo and Hairman are doing a great job here. I think Hairman's actually using the reeds here. I don't even know if that counts. Now our EBRs are going after theirs. Wasabi's going to take a hit. They're both one-shots here. Now the 260, the quickest tank on their team, is going to come in here to help. Luckily, he's a one-shot. There's the I-7. We got 30 seconds on cap. Wasabi's going to bounce off the side. The 260 is going to finish him. 18 seconds on cap. Here comes the EBR. We weren't able to finish him off. Now, we're going to have to finish that EBR off. And I'm desperately asking Inferno, can you hit the EBR? Because here he comes. And Inferno's going to get a great shot there, finishing that tank off. 2 seconds, 1 second, the I-7's going. He misses. And we're going to be able to win this through a cap out. Now, I am not positive, but I believe if they had gotten the reset, the win would have still been possible. And the reason for that is that their EBR is dead. We have an EBR swinging in behind him. They have a one-shot IS-7 in there. We have Hairman, who would have been hulled down behind Bendo, who would have died from the IS-7 shot, and Inferno, who could have backed off on the ridge and caught those IS-7s out. They wouldn't be able to push up that hill without getting shot by Bendo, and if they pushed it, they were going to get farmed pretty hard. YTF was also about to take out that IS-7 and would have been able to hit those IS-7s in the back. So it was a pretty epic 2-game series for us. Losing 3 straight, getting a lucky win against this team that brought a politely putting it, unconventional lineup. And then we managed to pull it back through some alternative strats, things that we haven't done. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. It's a full breakdown for anybody who asked. I know I sped it up, but I'm not making this a 2-hour long video. So thank you so much again, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.